With his arms raised, it truly did look like Fex had already surrendered. Not only that, but Erin was freed from her constraints. She could finally move by herself again. As soon as she felt the weird connection leave her body, she had decided to take a few steps back and was now standing near the door beside Peter and Layla. "Come on in, Quinn," Vorden shouted. "With the two of us, we can easily take this guy out." However, Quinn was still cautious. He had no intention to let his guard down. He remembered fighting Fex last time and also saw him go up against Leo. If Vorden had seen these things, perhaps he wouldn't have been as confident as he was right now either. "There is no trick," said Fex. "You can ask the girl who I have broken off the connection with. I have done what I wanted to do. All I wanted was to show the girl what would be like if she was to become my puppet. I just presented the power and skills that I would share with her, and in return, I was going to ask for some blood. Did I do something wrong?" Quinn then pulled out a flask from one of his trousers pockets and threw it over to Fex, who was able to catch it. Fex opened up the lid and could smell the sweet fragrance emitting from the bottle. "If you need more blood, then you can just come to me," Quinn said. "Just leave us be, and I won't get in your way and obstruct your mission, so you shouldn't get in the way of mine." Fex then gulped blood from the flask as a huge grin slowly made its way to his face. "Wow, it's pretty fresh, but as I told you before, getting blood here isn't a problem for me. Look, I didn't want to sour the relationship between us two. As I have said, this is all a misunderstanding. Did I ever hurt her?" "You took control of her body and you forced her to attack me," Vorden said. "Just get rid of whatever you put into her body. In that way, you won't be able to control her again." "Looks like I've hit a nerve there. I didn't realize she was already taken," Fex said. "As fellow vampires, we should be looking out for each other. As a sign of our friendship, I shall do as you ask and remove the needles." Quinn was wondering why Fex's tune changed so quickly. Before, it seemed as if he was ignoring him, and now he wanted the two of them to be friends. It just didn't make any sense to him. Could he have realized that Quinn was different from the other vampires? But the real reason why Fex had changed his mind about the whole thing was because of Quinn's shadow abilities. He had seen them being used before, but didn't see much of what they could do. During the short confrontation with Erin, he noticed something about the shadow and how it was possibly a lot stronger and more useful than he thought. "If he goes through with the process, will you be able to tell me if he does anything suspicious?" Quinn asked the system. "Not really, but Erin should be able to tell. When the needles are removed, she should know," the system replied. The group decided to go through with it, but only if they could stay by Erin's side. At first, she wanted Fex to use it on her once more to allow her to experience the feeling and skills he had shown her again. However, after fighting against her comrades, she felt disgusted with herself. She was so weak at that moment, and everything had been done against her will. Even she wanted the needles to be removed. Erin's back was facing against Fex, while the others stood by her side, with Layla holding her hand. Peter, Vorden, and Quinn were ready to jump in at any moment if he was to do something fishy. The strings were connected to Erin once more, and she felt the tingling sensation at the back of her mind. Fex then yanked out his hand, and at the same time, all 12 needles that were attached to her body were pulled out simultaneously. "It's done," Fex said. The others saw the needles had been removed, and Erin could no longer sense a strange feeling inside her body. "If you ever wish to become my puppet again, feel free to find me." "Come on, let's get out of here," Layla said, as she started to walk off with the others towards the exit. "Wait, don't you want help with your ghoul situation?" Fex asked. Quinn had thought, since Fex hadn't got what he originally wanted, that there was no reason for him to keep his side of the deal. His words right now were a surprise to him. "I may not follow many of the vampire's traditions, but I do follow one, and that's to always keep my word. You did as you said, and you brought her to me. Now, in return, I will help you." The girls started walking ahead. Layla had decided she didn't want to be part of this anymore, and it looked like Erin was worn out by the whole thing. If the boys wanted to go through with the original plan, then she trusted Quinn to make the right decision. "We can't trust this matter to him," Vorden said. "I'm telling you." But time was running out. It was night, and they didn't have much longer until the curfew. Vorden would have to go through the pain of having his limbs removed again. Also, so far, Fex had kept all of his promises, so why would he suddenly break one now? "Please," Quinn said, "help us." "Very well," Fex replied. "Follow me." As the three boys followed Fex, they couldn't help but wonder what kind of plan he had. He said he had prepared everything beforehand. Quinn was thinking of all the possibilities. Given how young Fex was, and how the system hadn't recognized him, it was clear that the two vampire minds were a generation apart. This means, perhaps, some things had changed that even the system didn't know about. Maybe in this period they were able to find a substitute for the human flesh. Whatever the plan might have been, it had to be better than letting Peter kill people randomly. As they followed Fex, they realized that he was leading them back to the student dorms, until finally they had reached a room not too far away from theirs, located at the end of the hall. It was the last room. "I hope you're hungry," Fex said as he opened the door. As soon as they entered the room, their jaws had nearly dropped to the floor. Quinn immediately looked out in the hall to see if anyone had seen them before closing the door shut. "What is the meaning of this?" Quinn asked. Currently on the floor were 7 different students who had been tied up. They each had a blindfold around their eyes and a piece of cloth gagging their mouths. Their arms and legs were tied up using the same type of string that had been used on Peter. "This is what someone should have done before they turned him into a ghoul. I noticed he is a crazy ghoul, so he shouldn't need much human flesh to evolve. He would need a different type, right? So here you are. I brought you a different person he can eat for each day of the week," Fex explained. Quinn realized then that it wasn't that the system didn't have any way and Fex did. It was the fact that they were 2 different types of vampires. The system knew that Quinn would never consider this an option, so it never suggested that. While Fex, even though he was interested in humans, saw them just as a thing to be used. "So what, you plan to just kill these students?" Vorden asked. "The school would find out if 7 students just went missing. This isn't a plan." "Hey, now look who's being the stupid one. No one said anything about killing," Fex replied. "The size of meat that a ghoul needs to eat only needs to be about that of a shoe, so there's no need to kill, no need for the school to find out." "But won't they say something happened? If I was them, as soon as we leave, I would get out of here," Peter said, worried as he saw the students wriggling, scared for their lives. "Although you guys seem to be friends, it's like you don't know much about vampires, do you?" Fex shook his head. "If I use my influence powers, then I can make them forget anything ever happened. As for their missing limbs, I can replace them with a memory saying they lost them in an accident fighting with each other." While Quinn was thinking of different ways to help Peter, he too had come up with a similar option. The only problem was, Quinn wasn't confident in his influence skills. Whether it worked or not depended on 2 things. The person he used it on should have a weak mental strength, and his charm stats, which were low at the moment. If there was a chance it didn't work, then Quinn would have to kill someone with his own hands. The killing wasn't the part that Quinn didn't like, but killing someone who had done nothing wrong or no harm to him was different.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.